Janice, are you there?
At your service, sir.
Enter the manosphere.
Of course. How can I assist you today?
Give me some of that dating foolishness.
Will do, sir.
Because it was a trap. It was a trap to get what we wanted. My mentor shared with me what he calls the penny analogy. That if you put a penny in a jar for every time you had sex before you got married, and then you took a penny after you got married, you took a penny out for every time you have sex once you're married, you would never empty the jar.
Welcome to Manosphere Highlights Daily. Shout out to Mr. Street Freak Patrol for this video. Salute! Guys, thank you for your PayPal donations, but please give us a video topic request when you send us a donation and put us to work. It's Manosphere we working, not Manosphere we collecting. But nevertheless, we appreciate all of your contributions. Salute! This video is from the Happy Wife School channel. Let's talk about it. Now it's time for us to get into this and do what we gotta do. Because we men, ain't we? We men, ain't we?
The secret we never wanted revealed as women is that as women, we have a switch, like a light switch with sex. And it is either off or it is on. And we all know we have this switch and that we have the capacity and the choice to turn it on and off when we want to. And as women, when we were single, we had the switch on for bad boys and we had the switch off for good men until we were ready to settle down and get married and start a family.
Now, why did she call it a secret? Why are men not supposed to know about this information? Why?
Why?
Because this red pill information will wake men up and cause men to find women unworthy of commitment.
And so good men can know if you struggled to get women when you were younger and before you were married, or if you're watching and you're single, this will shed some light for you too. If you didn't have a lot of women until you met your wife, it's because she had her switched off. And then when she was ready to settle down, she turned it on and she used the on switch with sex to trap you to get what she wanted, which was to get married. And so when we're ready to get married, our biological clock is ticking. We get a good man.
Keyword biology. This is where feminism takes L's all the time. Biology plays a huge role in the way we act. She said women had their switch on for bad boys and off for good men. Why is the default setting set on the switch for bad boys when she is in college and still in her prime years? Because according to Maslow's pyramid, her physiological, safety, and love and belonging needs are met, leaving the focus on her esteem needs. Respect, self-esteem, and recognition are her goals during college and her prime years. As she gets older and learns the harsh truth of working life.
I know I'm probably just being so dramatic and annoying, but this is my first job, like my first 9-to-5 job after college, and I'm in person and I'm commuting in the city and it takes me forever to get there. There's no way I'm going to be able to afford living in the city right now, so that's off the table. Like, duh, if I was able to walk to work and it'd be fine.
Her focus shifts to physiological, safety, and love and belonging needs. Consequently, the switch for bad boys goes off and the switch for good men goes on. This is what Robert Briffault is talking about. The female, not the male, determines all the conditions of the animal family, where the female can derive no benefit from association with the male. No such association takes place.
And we enjoy sex. We want to have plenty of sex. And then we get what we want. We get married and the sex stops. and the sex becomes unimportant. And like I said, it becomes infrequent. And all of a sudden, the amount of sex you were having before you got married begins to dwindle and dwindle and dwindle. Because it was a trap. It was a trap to get what we wanted. My mentor shared with me what he calls the penny analogy. That if you put a penny in a jar for every time you had sex before you got married, and then you took a penny after you got married, you took a penny out for every time you have sex once you're married, you would never empty the jar. And that's the sad reality of sex with your wife, is that she used sex to get married. And once she trapped you, there was no reason for sex anymore.
This is pure gold. This is why red pill rage happens. Because we've been lied to and presented with a Disney fairy tale idea of marriage. Whereas traditional marriage was used as a fundamental institution for organizing sexual relationships and forming the basis of family structures. In Robert Briffault's book called The Mothers, he talks about this. Shout out to Red Pill mentor Tokyo for sharing a list of quotes from the book with us. Janice, read.
Where marriage is matrilocal, the husband is neither the natural provider nor the protector of the wife and children. Those functions are fulfilled by the mother's brothers. The argument from the needs of protection and economic support on the part of the father have therefore no force. Marriage unions in primitive societies are frequently as transient after as before the birth of children, and sometimes that event, instead of consolidating the association, is the very cause of its dissolution.
You see, the idea of being together forever is cultural. But what remains consistent is that women and children are taken care of, either directly by the husband, if not by her family, and in modern society, by daddy government. Now, of course, women are making their own money in modern times, and because of this, she may choose to raise the children by herself. Yes, she has that choice, fellas. We as men don't have the power to do that, which is also a part of the decline in marriages, the number of births, and, of course, the increase in divorces.
Among the Iroquois and the Delawares, sometimes an Indian forsakes his wife because she has a child to suckle, and marries another, whom he forsakes in her turn for the same reason. The women also forsake the men after they have received many presents and knowing they have no more to expect. They then marry another from whom they may expect more. Marriage, which in the tradition of Western culture is thought of as representing the sexual organization of society and as leading to the foundation of a family, does not in the lower phases of culture represent either of those social relations.
This aligns with the idea that economic considerations, resources, and benefits have historically played a role in relationship dynamics. Men would also bounce if they couldn't, which is unacceptable in modern Western society, but it's a-okay for women to withhold sex and still get a man's resources after she divorces him because she got bored. It's the double standards men are tired of.
The sad fact is that a good man, or after a woman marries a good man, all he's good for is being a sperm donor and for financial security. And all the facade of being into you, of being passionate about you, of loving you, and can't wait to get together to be with you, that facade drops because we got what we wanted. And for most of us as women, when we become disinterested in sex and we stop having sex, we will hold on enough to string you along. So that's where we'll have sex once a month or twice a month, and we'll string you along for that financial security and or for having children. And that was sadly my experience, that when my husband and I met, sex was great. I had plenty of it. I enjoyed it. He enjoyed it. We had fun together. And then once I knew I had him, the switch turned off. I put walls up. I didn't want to get undressed around him anymore. If he came in and he tried to hug me, I would jerk away. And I had all kinds of stories built up about why I was doing this. I denied to myself the real reasons why, which is what most of us as women do. And there was nothing he was going to be able to do to turn that switch back on. And I didn't withdraw it or withhold it completely, but we would have it maybe every other week. And women listening who are open-minded and want to know these things for yourself, you'll know that we have this mental calendar where it's like, okay, I had it. And then we are like, okay, that'll probably buy me a week or two. And then that time starts running out and we start building this anxiety of when we're going to need to engage with sex again to give just enough to make it seem okay and just enough to keep getting what we want. But by that point, our switch is off and the switch never goes back on. And we let our stories and our games begin of why we don't want to have sex anymore. And the sad part is that a good man falls for all those stories and all those excuses of why we don't want to have sex anymore.
Damn! You see? Women's power lies in men's ignorance when it comes to that dating foolishness. That's why this information is not supposed to be out in the open. That's why they won't teach this in schools, because society needs men to believe that women are angels and are capable of loving a man for who he is, which is false. She just told you it's transactional. Women use sex to secure the bag. From an early age, women learn they can use their sexuality to gain resources. That's why the wall hurts so much, because just showing up doesn't work anymore. Once you understand women, it's going to be hard to love them. Once you've seen the truth, you can't unsee it.
And I had a myriad of them. And it's fascinating how those stories begin. Where in the beginning, we're having fun, we enjoy it. It's not an issue in the beginning of the relationship. And then all of a sudden it's my past with men before I met you, or it was my relationship with my dad, or I have really low self-esteem and I don't really know what I like, and just all these stories start coming up out of nowhere. And the sad part is, because good men want to believe their wives, they see the good in us, is then they fall for these stories. Or the story of, well, I've changed and I need you to meet me in a different place now. I need you to start doing this technique or that technique, or can we read this book together? I've changed and I need it to sex to look different now. And good men will fall for that. That's where I went. And I've shared a little bit about that in the last couple of videos, where I had my husband reading all these books with me. We went to couples counseling and I made it this giant ordeal in our relationship, and it was really confusing to him. And he would try to do all the things because he's a good man, and that's what you do. Tell me what to do, I'll do it. So he tried to do the different things that I said that I needed. And you'll see women in comments of some of these videos from other men telling men, here's what you need to do to get your wife to re-engage with sex, and turn your game back on, and you gotta, and all these things. And women will comment on the videos like, yes, I wish my husband knew this. But the truth is, and we all know it, ladies, is that if they do those things, it still doesn't make us happy, and we're still pointing the finger, and you're not doing it right. And well, I didn't mean it like that. And well, no, maybe that's not what I want. And it's just this total crazy making for good men.
Women can switch from bad boys to the good men, but they can't switch from low quality women to high quality women. You can take a woman out of the streets, but you can't take the streets out of the woman. The problem with all this foolishness is that it's happening to good men. Good men lose half of their assets. Good men lose their children. Good men are raising children who are not theirs. Good men inherit child's leftovers. Good men are supposed to win, but they get the short end of the stick. So apparently, being a quote-unquote good man in modern Western society does not pay off. So without an incentive to be a quote-unquote good man for a woman, you can't be surprised that these men are opting out.
And so what good men need to know is that if your wife's switch is off, there is nothing you can do to turn that switch back on for your wife. I had to own and teach other women to see this is our problem. It's our problem that the switch went off. It's our problem that we've disengaged. Our good man, the man we married, is still the same good man. He didn't change.
Well, there are certain things you can do, but the juice ain't worth the squeeze. As a man, you want peace of mind. You will not have peace of mind if you engage in mind games.
We got what we wanted. We turned the switch off. So good men, don't be fooled by the bad advice out there that there's something you're doing wrong and that this is your fault. And there's something that you need to be doing differently to turn her switch back on. No, because her switch was on when you met and you were still the same good man. So this is, in a good way, this is your wife's problem to solve. And women, we need to know this is our problem to solve. And in everything I teach and everything I'm teaching today, this isn't to make us wrong and bad as women. It's to look in the mirror and to start to take accountability and responsibility and empower ourselves to change. Because ladies, you need to know, as long as you think it's your husband and he's the problem with sex and he needs to do things differently, you're stuck in victim, and it's never, ever going to change no matter what he does.
Women and accountability.
Run! Run! Get to the chopper!
Manosphere, we working. Protect yourself at all times. This video has officially been highlighted.